Well, technology is a little crazy this morning, but we finally got on air. Of course, this is Light Vision Art Q&A. I'm Alfonso Ashworth, and I am in the process of getting our panel on board. It shouldn't take but a second. I see that Jeff is in the queue. I'm going to show you in the broadcast, Jeff. So there you are. And Rory, I'm showing you presenting to everyone. Present to everyone. All right. Can you hear me, Jeff?
I can hear you. I'm
All right, Rory.
still trying to figure out what's going on with this thing.
Yeah, it's crazy this morning. Hey, Rory, go ahead and unmute yourself so we can get you on as well. If you can hear me. Okay, present to everyone. Hey, Rory. Showing the broadcast.
I think he's muted.
Yeah. All right. Yourself, Rory. There you go.
Are we on?
Yeah, we are. All right. There you are, Rory. There you are, Jeff. Here I am, Al. So we are finally on after a Chinese fire drill that I just experienced. For whatever reason, the broadcast went to another link somehow and had me joining Jeff on the broadcast. And then Jeff came back and he was on his phone. Rory was like in limbo there for a minute, but I was able to call Rory on Skype and get him back on. So somehow we are back on again, guys. Of course, this is a broadcast right after the Thanksgiving. So I must have had too much turkey or something. I don't know.
Hey, it's that birthday thing. What's going on?
Yeah, that birthday thing happened, and I can't drive 55. Of course, that's the speed limit that during the Carter administration. If anybody can remember, the speed limit during the Carter administration was 55 miles per hour. And so I just turned the big 55. But thanks to everyone for all the happy birthday wishes and everything that I got. And they're still coming in, believe it or not, Jeff. A lot of people belated birthday wishes. But of course, welcome back, guys. Did everybody have a good Thanksgiving?
Sure did.
Very nice.
Well, very good. I hope everyone had time to spend time with their family and you know, do something that a lot of people don't do today, and that's, you know, visit their family members and have a good time without too much chaos. But of course, this time of year, we also have another discussion that comes up. And one of the things, believe it or not, I got some breaking news for you. The breaking news is that film is not dead. Film is not dead. I'm announcing that this morning on the show, live on the show, that film is not dead, and I'm going to prove it in just a minute. But I also want to talk about, of course, the topic of today is whether you should buy, sell, or trade your equipment. A lot of times people get confused about what that means. But of course, if you're listening to the show or want to be a part of the show at some point, you can call us at 615-547-3355. Rory proved that number works. So if you want to use it, it does work. Or you can call or contact me at livevisionart@gmail.com. Recently, matter of fact, as recent as yesterday, I had someone come in my lab that wanted to purchase a Pentax K1000. Now, Jeff, you may be familiar with that camera. Rory, you may be familiar with it as well. It was very popular film camera in the day for students. Students would get that camera. You'd use it at school. If you were part of the school annual or the school newspaper, that's typically the camera they would give you because it was easy. It was easy to use, and it was, very inexpensive. But I had a customer that wants to buy one. So if you know of anyone that has a Pentax K1000 for sale, please let me know, and I will get that message on to this person. And they still like shooting film. This is what I said on the breaking news, that film was not dead, because there are people out there that still like shooting film. Film can still be developed if you do it yourself, or if you shop around and find someone on the internet. There are still labs out there that still develop and print film. And despite what conventional wisdom would tell you today, is that everybody is shooting digital. That is just not true. It is not true. I still get film brought to my lab that people want us to develop. We stopped developing film 2 years ago. We still print film if you have it developed, if you have it, whether it's old film or 35 millimeter or whatever the size, we can still print your film, but we just do not develop film any longer. But buy, sell, or trade? That is the question today. The reason that it comes to my mind is because of the holiday seasons. A lot of people are confused about what they should do, how should they, get new equipment, or is it time to buy new equipment? What they never think about trading with someone. There's many people out there. If you get on some of these message boards and some of these groups, there are people out there that are trading equipment, the swapping, this lens for that camera or vice versa. Jeff, how do you feel about the trading concept? Is that something you would trust, or, would you have to really know the photographer or the person that has the equipment before you would trade with them?
I would like to. That's why I don't like buying stuff even buying on eBay. But sometimes you just have to roll the dice. But no, I would want to know how the equipment's been taken care of. But it depends on what's your goal. If you're just learning and you got a small budget, then yeah, it's a good deal.
Right. And I have swapped or traded before in the past.
You've let people borrow and didn't come back too, right?
Yeah, that's happened too, where I've loaned equipment out and never see it again. And sometimes it's pretty good. Some of it was pretty good equipment. But I'm not going to harp too much on that. That's water under that bridge. But, when you buy new equipment, there's some drawbacks to that as well, because many times you may buy new equipment, you hadn't really done your homework, and then 6 months, well, less than 6 months, say 3 months, they upgrade that equipment and they come out with new firmware, software for it. You find out that you have to then upgrade everything. Maybe it's not compatible with your software anymore. It's not backwards compatible, which means that you have to update your software. That could cost you a couple of $100 depending on the software package you have. And then you have to update your computer. I've done that before, Rory, where I've purchased a new piece of equipment, and I discovered my old equipment no longer works. So sometimes swapping or trading for something that you're familiar with is not a bad idea. What do you think, Rory?
It's not a bad idea, but I agree with Jeff. Unless you really know the person and how well it's taken care of, I mean, I wouldn't do that with somebody that's not local.
Right.
Obviously, you're taking a chance, those kind of things. But yeah, it would be concerning.
Yeah. And that's what I warn people about, because I have scanners that are, some of them are quite expensive that I have in my lab. They're not consumer grade scanners. They're commercial grade scanners. So some of this stuff is not easy to find anyway, if you're trying to, trade with somebody. But in some cases, if you're familiar with the companies that you deal with, like the manufacturers, that's not a bad deal where you can trade with the manufacturer for a refurbished piece of equipment.
True.
And sometimes not only that, they'll warranty the equipment because they, had it serviced. I know for myself, you buy some really expensive equipment. Sometimes you have to have professionals come in to even set it up. So it's not something that you would be able to set up for yourself anyway. But if on the consumer end, we got a viewer, welcome to the show, viewer. If you want to call in, if you got a question, call us at 615-547-3355. If not, you can email me at livevisionart@gmail.com. What I was getting at on the consumer end, where you can buy things at a pawn shop sometime. I've run across some really good deals at pawn shops, not so much for camera equipment sometime, but things that you may need, peripherals, like things that you may use as a peripheral. And you can take a chance sometime, because most of that stuff that winds up at a pawn shop, it mostly works. It's just the person was desperate for money.
Yeah.
So it's not too risky to search around in pawn shops for some of this stuff. And a lot of times you can find a pretty good bargain. I have. Now I know, Jeff, like you said, if you don't know the person, but have you ever shopped in pawn shops, Jeff? Look around.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've told you, I go treasure hunting for old lenses, when I get time to, and because you can use them old lenses, and some of them are garbage, but you got to be careful with them. I've learned to, pick them up, make sure that the aperture blades are not stuck. That's a big thing. You can look through them, make sure they don't have mold, because if they've been put in a damp area, they'll develop what they call lens mold.
Right.
So it's you can transfer that lens mold to your camera too. So, but the big thing is aperture blades and things. If it's just not been kept well, or it's been put in a hot car, because a lot of people doesn't know, but the old lenses had a grease in them, and that grease, when put in a hot car, migrated over onto the blades, and the blades would stick. So so it's just a matter of understanding what you're looking for too. And there's a lot of garbage out there. So
yeah, you have to sort of do some dumpster diving, I guess. Way you would look at it. But I've run across some pretty good deals like that. And you just know that there's a risk involved when you do that. But in the same respect, if you look at it, if you can find a good lens, like you just said, Jeff, an older lens, and it's working, and somebody wants $10 for it, $15 for it, or something like that, I mean, that's worth the risk. Now, I wouldn't look for a camera body that way unless I really knew the person or who owned it, you know, how much wear and tear it had on it. But for sometime for like a second body, maybe it's not one you're going to use every day, or maybe you buy something that you're going to use for a specific use. Sometimes you can find a camera body for, you know, like $100 that may have been a, you know, a really expensive camera body at one time, like the Pentax K1000 I was just telling you about. Has anybody looked that up? Let me see if I can find one.
You can buy them on eBay for, I don't know, $8-10 or something. Somewhere look like here's one for $85. So somebody
got some images right here if I can grab a few. Here we go. I'm gonna switch over to where we can see it on the screen. The Pentax K1000, the most rugged little camera ever built. You didn't need a battery. The only reason you had the battery in it was for the meter, but it would work under, you could drag the thing through the through the mud and pick it up and it would still work. Clean it off, get it going. Well, that little camera, and what'd you say they're going for? Some online, Jeff?
I seen one for $8.95, but this I see them all the way up to $85.
Right, and if it was a 1976 Pentax K1000, 1976 to 1997. So they made this little camera for quite some time, and like I said, it was used in mostly in schools teaching. And I've owned several of them over the years for, you know, film purposes. But that's one camera that I would teach if they would take that camera. If someone would take that camera and modify that camera and put a digital back on it, I'd use it in a heartbeat. It's one of the most easy to use cameras I've ever seen on the planet as far as SLR. Very easy to use. It's almost idiot proof in a lot of ways, believe it or not. So that little camera right there, Rory, is still very popular. And the reason you see that $85 price on there is because a lot of people collect those cameras. They're a great collectible. But I've seen some images, and you can adapt lenses to those cameras really easy. I mean, the Pentax, you could buy Sears, Taconic, all these manufacturers made lenses for them. So it wouldn't be hard to find lenses to put on them. So in that respect, Rory, what do you think if of course you were you film shooter too at one time? Did you
I never did. I didn't get into it until probably 10 years ago when the first Sony A100 came out. Is my first camera that I went into the SLR type.
Well, you don't know what you missed. You just don't know what you missed. You know, and I'm finding a lot of photographers today wanting to go back and experience that. I mean, they're wanting to go back and get an old film camera, you know, set them up a little dark room at home, or, you know, find somebody that can develop their film. Well, you can take the film and then have it scanned digitally. So that means you can still shoot the film, scan it to a digital file, still use it. And if Christopher was on this morning, he would tell us more about that. Because if you were somebody like myself that shot a lot of film in the day, you wouldn't just throw your film away because digital come along. You would at some point start digitizing that film into a digital format. So I still see opportunity for that. Now, as far as buy, selling, and trading, I mean, you may find these things in a lot, like in a box, or you may find several old cameras, sets of lenses, and attachments all at a yard sale or at a auction. Speaking of auctions, I'm going to play a little video clip. I doubt it. I don't know if you guys see, Jeff may have seen it before, but I'm going to play a little video clip. If I can get it to play. You know, on the play this morning. I'm going to search for this Vivian Maier. I'm going to post the link in the page so y'all can go back and some point maybe look at it. So I'm going to post it in the window here so y'all can maybe check it out. It's a YouTube video. Vivian Maier. Let me see if I can bring her up. Then bring her up over here.
The auction house is across the street from my home. I found this box loaded with negatives. Won it for, I think it was $380.
The history of street photography is currently being rewritten.
Vivian Maier.
Vivian Maier.
Vivian Maier?
Exhibitions in New York and LA and London and Chicago.
We've had more interest in this work than perhaps any other photographer.
One particular that I bought, which I love, the composition is slightly off to me, and I think that's why I like it.
Vivian was a very private woman.
She was so awesomely neat.
She was not an open person. She was a closed person.
Vivian was my nanny.
Yeah, she was our nanny.
He certainly had no idea that she took photographs.
She lived on the 3rd floor in our attic.
This was the forbidden zone.
One of the first things she asked me for was please to put in a lock.
She said, don't ever open this door. They didn't know there was this creative person there.
She took so many photos.
Around 100,000 negatives, 700 rolls of undeveloped color film, 8mm and 16mm movies.
She would take us and we would just walk in the worst parts of town. I think she liked that.
You know, maybe we just didn't understand her.
What would you say to Vivian now?
What drove you to hide yourself away?
I'd say to her, why the didn't you ever show me all the stuff you did? I thought I was a friend of yours.
In death, she is getting the fame that she never had in life.
I'm uncovering an artist. If I'm leaving this giant boulder unturned, it would be a mistake.
Of course, she would have hated every minute of it. She would never have let this happen.
She had some compulsive behaviors.
She was a pack rat.
I asked her what she did. Her answer was, I'm sort of a spy.
We would say, what's your name? Miss V. Smith. There's a piece of the puzzle missing.
As she was photographing, she was seeing just how close you can come into somebody's space. That tells me a lot about her. She could get them to accommodate her by being themselves. She could generate this moment, and then she's gone.
Is there anything that you wish was done differently then?
Sure, I wish I would have found those negatives instead of you.
As you can see, guys, there is a place for film. There's still a place for film. And even just from that example I just showed with Vivian Maier, and I would recommend you study Vivian Maier, Rory. I think she's someone with that you would appreciate.
I agree.
And Jeff is already familiar with her. I think we talked about her in class. But think about all her work, all the effort that she put into that. And just because it was shot on film, we never discover it because somebody said, well, you know, film don't matter anymore. And check her out, Rory. I think you appreciate her work. There's others out there, of course, that are as good. Her whole story is quite fascinating. But she had cameras. I would love to have her camera one of her cameras. She used to shoot a Rolleiflex. Let me see if I can search that up right quick. One of y'all can look at it. It was a Rollie. Let me see. Camera. See if I can find some of those. Yeah, here they are. Here's some. These things were just beautiful, just beautiful cameras that you don't see today. It's a twin lens reflex camera. You actually had two lenses that you focused, one depth of field, of course, one close focus. And that's what she used mostly. That was her favorite type cameras. Well, as poor as she would have been, that camera may have cost her like a half a year wages to own one of these things. And that's probably why she had so much undeveloped film. She probably couldn't afford the film developed. But these cameras, these Rolleiflexes, they are considered to be collectibles now. If you can look around and find you one. I don't know what some of the prices are. If I visit this page on here, let's see this one right here. I don't see a price on it, but you can of course go up and check out some of the prices, and they're probably still selling in the thousands of dollar range. But go check those out on there. There'll be something good. And if you could find somebody to swap or trade you for one of those, I'd jump on it in a minute. And like Jeff said, just check the glass out. Make sure you don't have any mold. Make sure that your ground glass is in good shape. Your viewfinders and things of that nature. They are, those cameras are so much fun to shoot. They were waist level cameras. That means that you held them down to your waist and you actually looked down through the viewfinder. And that sort of gave you some, anonymity so that you didn't have a camera stuck up in your face all the time. But those are some of the things that to me, buy, sell, or trade, they fall into that category. Lenses fall into that category. Jump in, Jeff. Give us some of your thoughts.
No, I've never shot that camera, never been around that camera. Did it have a noise? Did the
very quiet shutters?
Yeah, so that's the one that she could get close to people and not, they're not realizing what she's doing.
Right. There wasn't these big clunky sounds. The winder that you had was like a knob on the side that you wind it, and it was very quiet.
Yeah, I'm seeing one of them for $2,000 out on National Camera.
Oh yeah,
Exchange.
I mean, they still sell for thousands of dollars. If you find a collectible, you may spend $10,000.
I haven't seen any of them out, but a lot of these estate sales and things that I go to, there may be the people that are there that they may have been photographers in the past, but they didn't. Most of the time you don't run into somebody who's got that kind of equipment. Let's put it that way.
Right. And that's why I tell people, don't be too quick to judge some of this equipment. If some innovator would take that camera and put a digital back, because see, you could put different backs on some of these as far as sizes of film. You could put what they call 220 or 120. Most of them shot 6x7 format, which is a nice format for film. But if someone would manufacture a digital back that you could put on that camera, that would be awesome. If you had like a digital back that was a 6x7 equivalent, now you're shooting medium format. Now you're shooting with the big dogs. Mm-hmm. And if you find some of that film there's nothing to compare it to with digital today, as far as APS size sensors or the 135 size sensors. They don't even compare to the film that was shot then. So that would be something awesome to have in your arsenal. And if you could buy or trade or sell something and say, you know, hey, I like to own one of these just to have one, you may be able to trade somebody with somebody and get one. I think Jeff's running out to go get one now. Jeff just left, so Jeff just left to go get him one, Rory. I think he's went and rounded the camera up. We'll bring him back. Rory, have you ever seen anything like that before?
I had not, but it's very intriguing with the 2-lens thing.
Yeah.
And especially with a viewfinder that you look down from. I mean, what a way to take pictures with people not knowing what you're doing.
Right. You know, and that was great. That was a great advantage. Now another camera that I used to own years ago. What you got, Jeff?
What would this shoot?
That's format. No, that's probably a turn it sideways for me. Turn it.
I mean, the bellows and everything still works on it.
Yeah, that is probably a 6x6 or maybe even a 6x7 format as well.
I've been trying to research it came out of, I think it came out of Germany or somewhere. It's been in my family for a long time, and I didn't know it was in the family.
Right.
It's a wood camera with a leather case.
Right. It's a collectible.
Well, it went through the flood. I didn't know it was in my dad's basement, and it went through the flood. So I'm gonna redo it. I've got it. We've got leather and everything to redo it, but it's all still there.
Right.
It's a little dirty, but I mean, it sure didn't help it any. But
well, you know, if somebody would put a digital back on that, you know what those bellows are for? Those bellows not only were for you to focus, because you would move that to get your focus, but many of those bellows had what they call a tilt and shift feature on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually control your focal plane and get that blur foreground or that blur or tilt that building so that it looked in perspective. Another great camera that I've owned in the past is one called a Speed Graphic. Now, Speed Graphic was something you saw during Dick Tracy era, but it was medium format, and those cameras are still around in large numbers in collectibles. Let me see if I can find one over here. Let me switch it over. It's similar to what Jeff just showed you. This one right here, Rory, just a Flex Speed Graphic.
Yeah.
And that's a 4x5" size negative that you would have used in this. Of course, you see the bellows, you see the lens on the front, and then you would see the tilt and shift mechanisms. The little thing on the top that looks like a spyglass, let me see if I can get a closer image of it. On the top that looks like a spyglass is what they call a range finder. That's what you would have used. But these are very beautiful engineered pieces of equipment that you don't see much today. So there's another thing that I say that makes it fun to swap and trade. And, if you can find some of these cameras like that, Rory and Jeff, you may be able to swap it and trade for somebody just so that you can experience handling something like that, or even learning how to use it. It's eye-opening. What we got right here?
You remember these puppies?
Yeah. There's another.
Fixed lens. That's my first 35 millimeter that I ever had.
Yeah, I've got several in the case over here at my shop, and man, they were so much fun to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, it's again like you said, you didn't have to have a lot of you didn't have, well, this one had a battery, but it was, like I said, it was only for the meter.
Yeah. So if the battery didn't work, you could still shoot. Get out your little handy dandy meter guide that Kodak used to have. Kodak used to have a little booklet that they would come along with their cameras and things. And it was like a little guide to help you with your metering. So you didn't have to have all that equipment and all those things, Rory. I just think that things like that, Rory, are a great opportunity to trade. Yeah, like if you got something to trade with, it's like getting a old motorcycle that you've always. You find out somebody's got one, and you'll trade them for something else for it. So those are things that I think are great opportunities to trade or swap, or just to get your hands on something like that is amazing. Jeff, this camera here, Rory, this one I'm gonna pop up, I owned one of these and I loaned it to a young kid. He was a student at MTSU, and he wanted to borrow the camera to show his for his photography class. And he kept asking me, and I finally allowed him to use it. And he left college, and I never saw it again.
Oh man!
So I've got one of these out there somewhere. Maybe it'll return home someday. But these cameras right here came with a plethora of attachments. For example, if you look at this real close, if I can blow this screen up, let's blow this up. Okay, that's about as big as I was going to be able to get it. But let's see here. Yeah, that's as big as I can get it right there. You can see all the attachments that would have come with it. Your flash attachments, your different lenses, your battery packs and meters and all that. That's what a typical professional would have had if you were shooting weddings back in the day. In any case, so that's what I think is a good opportunity anyway for people to do that. Jeff, you got any other show and tell?
I got a lot of old cameras.
Yeah, I do too. I got some old 110 cameras, some old 126 format cameras. Let me switch right quick. I'll go grab one. Let me switch you over. Jeff, you take over for a second, sir.
Hey, you don't want me doing that. Last time we took over your show, we made a mess of it. Hey, Roy, how did your shoot go with your band? Did you get to do that yet?
I did well. In a very, very dark setting, I actually, in order to prevent motion blur, I had to underexpose to where when I downloaded the pictures, they were super dark, and then I had to bring them back in Photoshop in order to get the picture without the motion blur.
Yeah.
It's an interesting balance when you're dealing with dark settings without lighting on your camera to prevent a motion blur happening. I mean, you can turn your ISO up, but then you're going to get a lot of noise in the picture, and I didn't want that either. So I tried to keep it as low ISO, and I just underexposed, and I was able to get pretty good shots.
What's your F number?
2.8.
Right. But is it zoom? Was it a zoom lens?
Is it what?
Was it a zoom lens?
Yeah, it's a 7200 Sigma.
200, 2 point. You're going to lose a lot of light even with that lens.
Yeah, it's a straight 2.8, but I looked at it when he was at the thing, but which is it would be a pretty good lens, but even at that, you're shooting in dark areas. You're basically gonna have to have a camera that will, you can raise that ISO and not get a lot of noise, which is the beauty of the newer cameras.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Here's one for you, Jeff. This is an old Argus. Argus is still in this case. It's got its leather case. It's got the side flash attachment to it. It still works. And then I've got an old Polaroid here.
Wow.
That had the you put the Polaroid film in it. It had the bellows. And then it has the tilt and shift on it on the front as well.
Yeah, I see a lot of them out at the sales, and people, what people want for them is astonishing. And it's like you don't even know what you got. And it's not really worth anything. But
right, if it works,
it's something to look at. But
yeah, it's fun to look at. But can you imagine if somebody would put a digital back that you could put on this?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be awesome. It would be really awesome. But to go back to what you were saying, Rory, about the ISO, the aperture issue, lens,
let's see, flip flash.
The lens length and the zoom factor has a lot to do with how much light eventually reaches the film plane or the sensor. So if you have a 70 to 200, you have several pieces of glass in there that light has to pass through. So even if it's a 2.8 aperture, you're still not getting the equivalent of a light source that's from a fixed lens. If it's a fixed focal length, 200, 2.8, you're going to get a magnitude of light that's quite more than what you would with a zoom. That's why I tell people your expectations may be overreaching if you're shooting low light, even if you're using those more expensive lenses, you're still going to have to bump your ISO up.
I'd like for you guys, I don't know if you guys are on Facebook, but if you are, hook me up and take a look at some of the photos I took of that night. And I was pleased. I mean, for the low, I mean, they had hardly any light on the stage.
Right.
And the room was dark. So, I ran probably ISO right around, I think it was 800 was the lowest I was able to get down to, and still capture. But I mean, my speed, I was only I think around 100.5, 200, somewhere around in there in order to capture enough lighting. Yeah.
Well, if you want to, you can, if you want to go into the chat feature, if you have a way to post your Facebook link, you can post it in there before we end the show today, and I'll save it and go look at it for you. You can actually type it or copy and paste your Facebook page link in there, and that'll help us get there easier, so we can go check it out. Of course, while I'm here, let's do a little bit of advertising. Of course, if you want to find me, find out more about what I do, go to Light Vision Art Q&A. Go there, check us out. Go to lightvisionart.simdiff.com. Check out what we do there. You can find my website for my business is customcolorphoto.lifepix.com. You can go there and get all your Christmas cards, calendars, and whatnots. Of course, you can also find other things that we're doing. We're with the Wilson County Photography Guild, WCPGonline.org. We're getting ready to have our Christmas celebration event Monday night. We're going to be showing slides from our photographers. We're going to be at Blue Moon Restaurant. Ain't that right, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be at Blue Moon, but it's not for open invite. But if you're not a member, you probably, we may let you in if you show up. But if you've been coming to our guild groups, you are more than welcome to come to WCBG, our Wilson County Photography Guild's Christmas dinner. It's at Monday evening. We're going to meet. Of course, Rory just placed his link to his Facebook page. I'm going to show it, Rory. Did you just, let me see where you are. You just linked us to a Facebook. You didn't go to, where's your, what's your name, Rory?
Rory, Rory Linton, Linton. That didn't come up with as my page?
No.
Oh, you know what I did wrong? I'm sorry. Here. I'll redo it.
Okay. Redo it for us so we can get the right one.
Yeah, I was on the general. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
There you go.
Is that it right there? Okay, there we go. So you go to Rory's page and look at some of his photographs. Let me see if I can find. Are they loaded?
Yes. Keep on going down.
Just keep going down. Let's see if we can look at some of these right quick, Rory. See.
Wow.
The wonderful world of Facebook.
They're not coming up.
Yeah, I don't see them yet.
Yeah, they're not coming up.
Okay. Well, we can go to your timeline.
Yeah.
And maybe go there at some point and look at them. We can go there and check out your photos. Let's see if we can go.
Oh, you may not. I'm not sure, but it may not come up because you have to accept me as a friend.
Oh, okay. That's it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and accept you. How about that?
Do that.
I'll send you a request. That way we can hook up and then I'll check it out at another time.
I just confirmed you.
Sharing that. Thanks for sharing it. And we'll look at those pictures for you and give you some feedback on it.
Yeah.
And you can
Jeff,
also.
Do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, I do have a Facebook page. Matter of fact, I sent you a request, and then you friend me, and then we'll be together.
I confirmed you, Alfonso. I was just wondering if Jeff had a page.
Jeff,
yes,
you got a,
yes.
What's your last name, Jeff?
Coleman.
COLEMON?
Yes.
Yeah, we got. I see that we have some viewers pop in and out. Of course, we on a delayed broadcast today. We got started late. We had some technical issues, but today we were talking about buy, selling, and trading. So we've covered some different topics on that. Getting ready to go into the holiday seasons, guys, and I'm telling you, it's a great time to find a bargain. Especially if you're talking about buying and selling and trading stuff. People want Christmas money.
Yeah.
And they may have had that lens for 2 years. They paid quite a bit of money for it, and now they decide they don't need it anymore. If you look around, you may find a bargain on a deal for lenses right now. Just kind of make sure, like Jeff says, know what you're looking at. Making sure that you can tinker with it and make sure that everything is working like it should. And if they will, like some places that I work with, ask them if you can take it somewhere and have it checked. Now, you may have to leave them your credit card number in case you don't come back. But most of the businesses will allow you to do that so that you can, if it's used, so you can have it inspected. And bring it by me, by my lab, come by Custom Color, and I'll check it out for you. Make sure it's working properly.
I've actually been pretty lucky on mine. I'll be honest with you, I buy my stuff used, and I do buy off either eBay or Amazon. But I also check to make sure the seller has got a good reputation before buying it. And the last time when I bought the lens, I actually asked the guy to send me pictures that he'd taken with it, and it worked out well so far.
Yeah, you can do that. Facebook has a market now. Rory, I see you accepted me as a friend. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Facebook has a marketplace now that you can go to. And I hadn't used it yet. I've noticed some people are starting to put things up there for sale. It's not a bad idea. Look, if you trust somebody to be your friend on Facebook, but you don't trust them to sell you something, don't that sound sort of strange? Call them a friend, but you don't trust them if they try to sell you something. But be careful about what you buy anyway. When you're out there shopping, even if it's new, it could be new and still something be not working like it should. I've had over 30 years. I've seen some very big I've seen situations turn into horror stories, mainly because somebody bought something new, never checked it out, and then use it at an event. Didn't check the lens, didn't check the camera, they just unboxed it, start using it, and next thing you know is a nightmare. Jeff, give me your final thoughts, sir.
Hey, there's a lot of good deals out there. If you've got old equipment, I'd say upgrade. If it's 5 years old, I'd say upgrade it. So, but just also before we end the show, I'd like to give a shout out to all the people in the Gatlinburg areas and the Smokies, because that was very devastating. You know, I spend a lot of time up there every year, and it's heartbreaking what's went on up there this week. So,
well, I agree with you, Jeff. And if they capture the people, if somebody did this on purpose, if someone set these fires on purpose, let's give them a fair trial. And if they're found guilty, I think we should throw the book at them, because they have affected so many lives, and people have lost their lives. I think it's up to 13 people who have lost their lives, and that's not accounting for all the families that affects: mothers, daughters, sons, relatives, extended family. It just ripples right through the community. And we do appreciate that you offer up those prayers for those people, Jeff. That was very thoughtful, and we should always keep that in mind when we're going about our business. What about you, Rory? Got any final thoughts, sir?
I concur with you guys both on the Gatlinburg situation, and lots of prayers and heavy heart over the whole situation. So, but I agree with you as far as looking around for used equipment and learning. It would be intriguing for me to learn more about the film camera.
Right.
And I think I should try to experience that someday. And
I really do. I think it'll be helpful for you.
Yeah.
We started this show with a little chaos, so I'm gonna try to end it on a softer note. Of course, I really appreciate everything that you guys do. Coming on this morning, getting out and getting yourself ready to be on the show, and dealing with all the problems that we have with technology. But it's been a fun show. It's been a lot of fun. I think we talked about some important issues, and if anybody's out there and you want to know more about it, of course, you can always call me at 615-547-3355, or you can email me anytime at lightvisionart@gmail.com. That's lightvisionart@gmail.com. I didn't get into any other advertisements today. You know how to find me. Most people find me on Facebook or hear me on the radio. I do a lot of radio stuff. I just recently released a new book called Lost Memories. It's out there on Amazon. If you want a good holiday read, go search Alfonso Ashworth and look for Lost Memories. Makes a great gift. But I want to thank the listeners, the viewers, anybody that saw the show for whatever part today. Remember, when you're out there and you're moving about, going about your day, as Jeff just said, remember the people who have tragedies, tornadoes, fires. You know, this time of year, it seems to be more at the forefront because it affects people's holiday season. But this happens every day, and we just need to keep that in mind, that there are people out there that need our help. So as always, I want to end the show with my little tag that says, don't expect a gift, but be a gift to the world. So God bless you guys. God bless America. And peace.